Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your Angelique and class is in session, y'all. I gotta get y'all right, my high porosity girls, okay? So today I'm doing a how to moisturize high porosity hair for health and length retention. You guys love the video I did on this for my low porosity girlies, but I have to make sure I get my high porosity girlies right. So we are doing a part 2 of that video. So let's start with what high porosity hair actually is. High porosity hair is considered a fast sponge. The strands have gaps or lifted scales, so water and products get absorbed quickly but also kind of rush out quickly. So although your hair may really absorb the water from a leave-in, it still may feel dry and brittle because it can't hold on to that moisture. Now, because the moisture is leaking from the hair in a sense, it's hard for high porosity hair to feel moisturized and get the moisture it needs on a consistent basis. So it's super important for high porosity hair to use techniques that really lock that bad boy in. Now, if you're unsure whether you have high porosity hair or not, you can check out this video. I go into detail of how to figure out what porosity hair you have and give you guys a test that you can do to determine that. And if you do this test and find out that you actually have a low porosity hair, you can check out the version of this video specific to low porosity hair. When it comes to keeping high porosity hair moisturized, you want to prioritize moisture retention techniques. These are things like using the LOC or LCO method. Now, you can use either one, but for high porosity hair, I definitely recommend the LCO method. I personally love this method, even though I don't have high porosity hair. That is the method I use, but this essentially means leave-in first, then cream, then oil. I just think this makes sense because oils seal, so it should always be the last step. That's just what makes sense in my brain. So that is my go-to. The goal of your leave-in should be to replenish hydration and seal your cuticles slightly. So you want to look for lightweight but hydrating leave-ins. You also want them to have humectants like glycerin, aloe vera, and honey to attract that moisture. Honey is a great ingredient because it is a moisture magnet. So if you can get a leave-in with honey as a pretty significant ingredient, there's your girl, okay? And here are just a few examples of good leave-ins you can try. The goal of your cream is to lock in moisture and nourish deeply. You want to look for creams that are rich and creamy in texture. Think of butters and oils high in oleic acid, as well as emollients that help soften and seal the hair without weighing it down. An example of ingredients could be shea butter, mango butter, avocado oil, coconut oil, okay? And these are a few examples of creams you can try as well. Now, when it comes to oils, baby, seal it in. The goal of your oil is then to seal in all the nutrients of that leave-in and that cream. Now with oils, you can start with a penetrating oil and then you can end with a sealing oil. Examples of penetrating oils are oils like avocado oil, olive oil, and coconut oil. Sealing oils, on the other hand, are oils like Jamaican black castor oil, rapeseed oil, and argan oil. Your leave-in is going to attract moisture, your cream is going to trap that moisture, and your oil is going to seal that moisture in. So using a method like the LCO method can be so effective for high porosity hair. If you're not doing it, girl, do it, okay? Try it and let me know. Next technique is deep conditioning weekly. I would say this is probably a non-negotiable for high porosity hair just because you struggle with holding on to that moisture so much. Consistently deep conditioning your hair gives your hair a routine where it's going to get that moisture it needs. Depending on how dry your hair is, you can use a mask 1 to 2 times a week, and it can be a protein-rich moisturizing treatment. Protein is one of the key ingredients when it comes to high porosity hair because it helps fill in and repair the broken cuticle gaps. So proteins like keratin, collagen, and pea protein are good things to try when it comes to your weekly deep conditioning sessions. Along with different butters and oils, other key ingredients like ceramides are great, as well as fatty alcohols. Now these aren't to be confused with like drying alcohols. Fatty alcohols are conditioning agents. So there are compounds that are taken from fats that help coat the hair. So when you use a product and you feel that slip that we talk about and that coating over the hair, they can be helpful for just keeping that moisture in, coating the hair, and protecting it from the outside elements, whether it's weather, pollution, sun damage, all that kind of stuff. And they're also great because they help with detangling, which is an extra plus. To get even more out of your deep conditioning session, the next technique is to use heat assistant hydration. This can be as simple as using a hot towel wrap. You can just heat up a towel or a rag, wrap it around your hair, put on a shower cap, and let it sit. You can use my favorite technique, which is using a facial steamer. You can use this with a deep conditioner and even like the penetrating oils that I mentioned before. This is gonna cause the cuticle to lift temporarily, allowing those conditioners to penetrate better. Want to do this in moderation. You don't need to do this all the time. And what is also really, really important is after you do this, when you're finishing your wash day, or if you have used some sort of heat to help with that penetration, you always want to end off with a cold water rinse. This is imperative because it's going to seal the cuticle back in. To seal in that moisture, you then put into your hair cuticle. This is a step you cannot not do. Like, you need to end with that cold water rinse. It doesn't even matter what type of hair you got. That is so helpful. So make sure you do that, especially if you do this heat assistant hydration techniques. Now, this is probably the best tip that I can give you guys that may make the biggest change when it comes to the overall health of your hair. Hydration retention, which then ultimately affects length retention, is limiting air drying. Now, this tip I also mentioned in my low porosity hair video. I know we have been taught for years, especially when we do the wash and goes, to let your hair air dry. It's good for your hair. For the girls whose hair dries quickly, air drying is fine. But for those girls whose hair be sitting wet for hours and hours and hours before it dries, sometimes you go into the next day and it's still wet. Girl, when I tell you, limit the air drying, I would damn near say stop it altogether. Because let me tell you why. Prolonged water exposure can actually cause the cell membrane of your hair to swell up and like break. Here's what I wrote down. When hair stays wet for a long time, water penetrates into the inner layers of the hair, which is the cortex and the cell membrane complex. For high porosity hair, this is even worse because the cuticle is already raised and damaged. So it absorbs too much water. The swelling can cause mechanical stress on the inside of your hair shaft, and over time can lead to a weakened protein structure, split ends, increased breakage, and surface frizz. And we don't want that. So when you lean more into controlled drying, which basically involves using a diffuser, for example, you can obviously shorten the drying time. That goes without saying, but you ultimately reduce the swelling. So when it comes to the process of drying your hair and making it easier, here are a few things you can do. Squeeze out any excess water. You can do this with your hands, a t-shirt, or a microfiber cloth. As soon as you dry out your hair, start applying and doing the LCO method. Apply that conditioner right away, apply that cream right away, apply that penetrating oil, and apply that sealing oil. You then want to take a diffuser on low heat or cool. And if you do decide to air dry, I recommend you are in an area where it's pretty dry. It's going to help decrease the amount of time your hair stays wet, and try not to let your hair stay wet longer than 2 hours. And now that we know all the techniques, tips, and tricks, here are my product recommendations. Shampoos, conditioners, leave-ins, masks, stylers, and gels. And that is everything that you need to know to keep high porosity hair healthy, hydrated, strong, and growing. Put in the comments this emoji if you are a high porosity girly, and if you like this video and want to start or continue your hair growth journey. Don't forget to find out your hair's porosity with this video, and if you are a low porosity girly, make sure you check out this one, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye. That shine, baby, that shine. Yes sir, and it smells amazing.